Al Nassr dedicated Saturday night's dramatic and narrow 1-0 win against NEOM to Cristiano Ronaldo while he continues to recover from injury. Ronaldo has temporarily relocated to Spain for treatment on a hamstring problem from his personal physiotherapist. Suffered in the previous Saudi Pro League match against Al Fayha on February 28, the injury was described by Al Nassr manager Jorge Jesus as more serious than initially thought. Tottenham Hotspur's world is crumbling down, and they're at risk of having their emerging superstar of a centre-back ripped away by Barcelona. With first-team opportunities unlikely to fall Luka Fuskavic's way in North London after his move from Hajduksplit was made official last year, the club opted to send the highly regarded teenage defender on loan to newly promoted Bundesliga side Hamburg for the 2025-26 campaign. Port Vale and Southampton put themselves in the hat for the FA Cup quarter-finals after they beat Sunderland and Fulham, respectively. Fulham and Sunderland were dumped out of the FA Cup in the fifth round as Port Vale and Southampton claimed surprise victories. The biggest shock came at Vale Park, with Ben Waine scoring the only goal for League One strugglers Port Vale, who beat Sunderland 1-0. Sunderland had started the brighter of the two sides and almost got themselves in front in the fourth minute, but Eliezer Mayanda saw his header come back off the post. Black Cats goalkeeper Melker Elbord was then forced into action in the 25th minute when Luke O'Neill's wayward backpass caught him on the back foot, but he was able to head the ball over the bar. But for all of the visitors' dominance, Ben Waine's 28th minute header saw Sunderland fall behind, with the Vale forward looping the ball home after Ethan Archer's dangerous cross. Elbord was fortunate not to be sent off in the second half after he brought down George Hall, but he escaped with just a yellow card. Mayanda and Enzo Elifi came close late on, but the third-tier's bottom club were able to hold on for a seismic victory and reach the last eight for the first time since 1953-54. Ross Stewart came off the bench to score a 91st-minute penalty and help Southampton to a 1-0 victory over Fulham at Craven Cottage. Stewart, who sustained an Achilles injury at the same ground for Sunderland in 2023, coolly dispatched past Benjamin Lacombe from 12 yards to send Saints into the next round. Arsenal's 2-1 FA Cup win was lit up by one of the most exciting prospects in the club's entire history. By lining up against Mansfield Town on Saturday lunchtime, Arsenal's 16-year-old sensation Max Baumann became the youngest player in the club's history to start in FA Cup game. Mikel Arteta's reaction to that record-shattering display suggests it won't be his only entry into the history books. Nigel Clough prepared for the visit of the Premier League leaders in the FA Cup fifth round with a reality check. "We drew Arsenal here in the FA Youth Cup and they beat us 4-1, the League One manager recalled in the build-up to this weekend's tie. "There were 2 or 3 playing that night who would cause us problems in our first team." Newcastle's Eddie Howe praised elements of his side's display against Manchester City, but said that they were unable to get over the line. Eddie Howe admitted his Newcastle United side ran out of steam as they exited the FA Cup at the fifth round stage following a 3-1 defeat to Manchester City at St James Park. The Magpies made a brilliant start, going ahead through Harvey Barnes, but City would level the match-up before halftime as Jeremy Doku teed up Sabinho to score. Omar Marmush then took the game away from Newcastle with a second-half brace, with the Egyptian now netting 7 goals against Howe's men, half of his overall goal tally since joining City in January 2025. Howe commended the start made by his players, but conceded that City took the game away from his side in the second half with consistent periods of possession. "Good start from us, really good for half an hour," he told TNT Sports. "There's probably 2 things that happened. We couldn't sustain our start in terms of energy, but they also played really well. We just have to accept that. I felt we maybe ran out of gas, certainly in the second half but also towards the end of the first half. You have to say they were a very good side. We needed the ball to try and generate pressure but we couldn't get enough of it." Following their latest defeat to City, Newcastle have now lost 4 games in all competitions against the same opponent in a single season for the first time. Their next match is at home to Barcelona in the Champions League, and Howe is aware that he will need all of their support ahead of a huge encounter on the European stage. "The crowd were magnificent today," Howe added. "They didn't have a lot to shout about after that initial period but they stayed with us and were cheering at the end. We will need them for the Champions League."